In the hierarchy I talked about at the beginning of this video, I said that rear mount is the worst position that he can be in. When I'm on his back here, he can't see me. My hands are close to his neck, so if he screws up for even a second, I'm going to finish the fight. He can't hit me, really. I mean, he can maybe clip me here, but I can do way worse things to him. And especially if we end up face down here, it's absolutely terrible for him. Because now I can use gravity, I can use my forearms, I can use my elbows, I can hit him here, and he's really, really in trouble. One thing to watch out for when I'm in rear mount is some people figure this is kind of like a closed guard, just I'm on the back of his body instead of the front. Well, there's one important difference. If I cross my ankles here to keep control of him, and he crosses his ankles on top of mine and bridges, I'm going to get footlocked. I'm going to footlock myself. So that means that your legs have to be here. See how I'm pulling out a little bit? I'm controlling his inner thighs with my legs. My hands can do different things. With the gi, there's different handles, like the double under the armpit handle, that's pretty good. Under the armpit, grab the wrist, and instead of grabbing the wrist, I actually like grabbing the meat here. If I grab the wrist and he punches his arm straight, using his incredible tricep strength, he gets free. If I grab the meat of the hand here and he punches straight, he's wrist locking himself. But this is relying on the gi. The grip that I like most when I'm in rear mount, though, is the over-under. One hand comes over, the other hand comes under his armpit. My bottom hand grabs my top hand. Here, I'm glued to his back. If he rolls one way or the other, I go with him. If he goes the other way, we're here. I'm on his back. Also, the reason the bottom hand grabs the top hand is because this is the hand that's always in danger of choking him. So I want to occupy real estate on this arm. His big counter is to grab this forearm, and pull it away from his face, or tuck it under his arm, or pop it over to here. If I can occupy space on my attacking hand with my own hand, now he only gets crappy grips on that arm. He can only grab above it or maybe below it. Whereas if I grab here, now he gets the prime real estate, which is the choking part of this forearm. So once you get to rear mount, you're rarely going to abandon it for other positions because it is so dominant. But there are a couple of transitions and variations we should talk about. If your legs are long and skinny and flexible, which mine aren't, then a lot of people like doing this. They'll bring one leg across the belly here, and they'll triangle it behind their own knee, and then they'll hook underneath the leg. If your legs are fairly muscular and fairly short, though, I'm setting myself up for a leg lock. Don, just step over here, bridge, and I get injured. So that variation, used with caution. If you've got a 36-inch inseam and skinny legs, it might be the move for you. Maybe it's not my day with the rear mount. Maybe I only have one or two attacks, and this guy is really, really good at defending rear mount. You don't normally leave it, but here's one way that you can circle back from rear mount to top position. I get a double underhook grip, and I'm going to grab the lapel, and I'm going to slide down it a bit. I'm not going to grip it too high, I'm going to grip it low. My other hand comes and goes behind his head. It's basically like a half Nelson. So we're here, half Nelson. At this point, I push him sideways a bit, and I start climbing back up to mount. From another angle, we're here. I slide my hand down his lapel somewhat, and I come up behind his head. I start slithering out to the side. The lapel hand here stops him from turning into me. This hand behind here stops him from driving into me. I can come back to full mount. The other option, come here please, is if he's escaping his hips sideways, I can take a hook, come into a butterfly hook or an instep hook chuck him sideways while keeping control of his upper arm. From here, if he tries to turn away from me, he can't go. I've got this. If he tries to turn into me, perfect, I have side mount. So that's another option if you want to abandon rear mount. If he's almost out anyhow, you might as well secure a dominant top position. So here we are, we're in the belly to the sky rear mount. Rear mount is unique because I'm in it whether I'm on top or on bottom. I have him in rear mount. Now it's better if he's face down as opposed to face up. So we're here, I can't finish him, I want him face down. Here's one way to do it. I take my hand and I'm going to cross face him here. I'm going to turn his head this way. At the same time, I'm going to take my other hand and throw it behind me. We're here, and I roll. From here, I can get him in a very uncomfortable rear mount position. Turn a bit this way. So we're here, I'm going to turn his face to look in the direction I want him to go, and I post my hand behind me, and then it rolls very naturally to the belly. It's kind of the reverse move in the guard. In the closed guard, we had the hip buck turn. This is kind of doing the hip bump from the back. Turn him onto the belly. So I'm having a bad day. He's ended up on my back and he's trying to choke me. I want to protect my neck. Again, we're in this home alone posture here. If he's coming round one side particularly hard, trying to get my lapel, I might switch both hands over to block that side. I put this hand here, and I'm blocking on top. It's usually his top hand that's going to choke me, whether it's a rear naked choke, a sliding collar choke, a short choke. This is the big danger, so I really have to protect that. Either here, and here, or here. As I'm grip fighting, which is essentially what this is, I'm trying to control his hand. If I can pop it over to the far side of my head, this is great. If I manage to get so far, I have to watch out really only for one thing. I have to watch out for him stepping over my head and arm barring me. But that's okay, because here I've got to watch out for a whole bunch of stuff. If I manage to pop it over here, I know what his one attack is going to be, and there's some fairly simple ways to shut this down. So if I'm here, I'm going to drive down to this side. And I'm going to really be pulling him in here. I'm not going to give him the room that he needs to step over. I'm going to be pulling. And I'm going to be climbing. See how I'm here? Climbing. I'm making a fold in his gi. And I'm working my way up it. My goal ultimately here is to grab his head. If I can grab his head here and here, now it's fairly easy for me to turn out and come to the top, maybe get to half guard or the top of half guard, maybe even pass, but pretty much anywhere I end up is better than where I was. So we'll do that again. We're here, hands up, he's coming in with that top hand. I'm going to capture the wrist, I'm going to capture the elbow, I'm going to pop it over my head. You see how I moved my body down a little bit, and I pushed up. Now I pull down, and I go up to tighten it. So, down and up, down and up. I take this fold here, and I start climbing up, and I start driving into him. The ultimate goal being to get his head. Once I get his head here, it's very easy for me to turn out. Another escape. This is more for the over-under position that we talked about. At all costs, I don't want to go to this side. I don't want his choking hand to be on the bottom. I call this the pillow. His bicep is the pillow. My head is resting on the pillow. I'm going to go to sleep. If we're here, and I go away from the pillow, I'm still in danger. If I really screw up here, he can still choke me out. But it's a lot harder for him to do this. So I fight to get off the pillow, and I'm controlling this arm. Now I'm going to try and put my head to the ground. Normally, when you're rear mounted, you're keeping your chin down. Well, this is where you start breaking that rule. We're here, I arch back and put my head on the ground. Once my head is on the ground,
I try wiggling sideways until my shoulder is on the ground. Once my shoulder is on the ground, I'm going to wriggle sideways until my hip is on the ground. Don't move here, okay? This is what I'm trying to do. Now, in reality, okay, we're here. Get my head off the pillow, put the head on the ground, shoulder on the ground. As I go here, right around here, every jiu-jitsu guy in the world will try and come up to full mount. We're here. Which is an improvement from where you were, but this still isn't very good for you. Let's go back, please. So you know that that's what they're going to do. So we're here, head on the ground, shoulders on the ground. As I'm going for hips on the ground, he will come up to mount. So I start pushing his leg here. Come up to mount. And at least, come up. At least I should be able to get the half guard. I want to get away from the pillow. Go to this side. Head on the ground, shoulders on the ground, hips on the ground. As he comes, here you go. I'm going to push this knee. And I'm going to escape my hips. But now hopefully I end up in a decent half guard position, or maybe even a full guard position. Your other escape, and we talked a little bit about this, is to use the footlock. Don't count on this, but it's nice when it happens. If he's inexperienced enough to cross his legs, you have a choice. See how his right leg is going over his left leg? I can either cross my left leg over his right leg and then cross here, or even triangle, or I can cross my right leg over his right leg and go here. This, see, left, right. If I now go right, left, and I arch forward, that twists this foot. It's more powerful, but it's more dangerous. If you're in the club, training with friends, what I suggest you do, if he's got left, right, you go left, right over top of that. Now it's just grinding on his Achilles. It still hurts, but it's not going to damage anybody. The way you can sometimes set that up is you're here, you're fighting for grips, you're moving, you really move your hips. And he forgets for a second that he's not supposed to cross his legs because he's trying to stay on your back. As soon as he does, you cross and you arch.